Hi. Imagine working full-time, showing up every day, doing everything right, and still not earning enough to afford rent, food, or health care. This is the reality of millions of Americans earning a federal minimum wage. Today, I want to persuade you that the minimum wage in the United States should be raised to a living wage. A living wage that allows workers to live with dignity and meet basic needs. I've spent time researching this issue and speaking with workers in my community who are struggling to survive despite working multiple jobs. This isn't just an economic problem, it's a human rights issue that affects us all. In this speech, I'll show you why the current minimum wage is failing American workers, explain the value of a living wage, and show how we can push for real change. The federal minimum wage has been stuck at $7.25 per hour since 2009. That's only $15,080 a year for a full-time worker. That is well below the poverty line for a family of two. According to the National Employment Law Project, the minimum wage has lost 30% of its value due to inflation. That means even though the cost of living has gone up in groceries, rent, gas, living, the working wage hasn't kept up. That's not enough to live off of. And yet, many people working minimum wage jobs are adults with families, not just teenagers. A 2023 MIT living wage calculator shows that the living wage for a single adult in the U.S. is $18 an hour, depending on the location. Now, let's put a human face to this issue. Imagine a single mom with 2 kids. She works 40 or sometimes 50 hours a week at minimum wage. Still, she has to choose between buying groceries or paying her electric bill. That's not laziness. That's a broken system. That's not survival. That's exhaustion and despair. It's not about economics. It's about justice, equality, and human dignity. So, what's the solution? A living wage. A living wage is a wage that allows someone working full-time to afford essentials like housing, food, healthcare, transportation, and modest savings. Amnesty International calls a living wage a human right, saying it's fundamental to dignity, equality, and freedom. In America explains that living wages don't just help individuals, they help close the gender and racial wage gaps for families and boost local economy. Raising the wages means fewer people on government assistance. It means stronger families. It means healthier and more productive workers. This isn't radical, this is reasonable, and it's long overdue. Now, let's look at 2 futures ahead of us. In the future where we raise minimum wage to a living wage, families rise out of poverty, kids have more stability, parents can breathe and live a little easier. In a future where we keep things the same, millions of Americans will continue to work full-time and still rely on food banks and public housing. Inequality will grow and trust in the system will erode. Which future would you want to live in? Raising the wages doesn't just help workers, it helps all of us. Now it's time for action. There are several ways that you can make a difference. First, supporting legislations that raise the minimum wage in our state or nationality. Shop with your values Support businesses that pay fair wage. Use your voice. Attend town hall meetings. Talk to your friends and family to spread awareness of this issue. And most importantly, vote. Vote for leaders who understand that full-time workers deserve more than poverty. As the Pepperdine School of Public Policies points out, President Franklin D. Roosevelt believed that a living wage was part of a moral foundation of the American economy. He said workers deserve a wage adequate to provide a decent living. It's time to live up to that ideal. In conclusion, let me say this. A minimum wage that isn't a living wage is a broken promise. It tells workers that no matter how hard they work, they still don't deserve basic human rights. That's very wrong, and that's something that we have the power to change. My call to action is simple. Let's raise our voices, support fair wage policies, demand that our leaders ensure no one who works full-time lives in poverty. Because every worker deserves more than just a paycheck. They deserve a life worth living. Thank you.